Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's May 17th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and no problems with internet today. I apologize about yesterday. I did get the video uploaded. I just couldn't upload it till this morning, so it's there if you didn't see it yet, and no problem so far today. But anyway, this is going to wrap it up for the week. No chart lessons on Fridays, but let's talk about today's trades. And it was an interesting day. We started out kind of flat, had a nice rally up, trend up, and then a nice, really strong trend down. And then we bounced back and we kind of got back in the same trading range we were in earlier in the morning. And really, we closed yesterday around 27, 23 area. Today we closed 27, 18 area. So roughly 4 or 5 points there different. So, you could almost call this day kind of an unchanged day. We closed down a little bit, nothing significant really, but it was a nice trend up and a nice trend down. You didn't get a lot of opportunity on the way up, unfortunately, but you had several trades here on the way down you could have taken. But we'll talk about the trades and we'll wrap it up and we'll go from there. This one set up right at the 7 o'clock hour. Notice you made a new low. You move up. First entry, move up. Second entry short. So that nice bearish bar right there, right off the trend line. Second entry short right there. Plenty of room to get out for the lows. And notice it doesn't go but a tick or two lower and then it bounces. So that worked out perfect, really. It was just enough room. And then we come back up. And there's a double top here, and we actually went higher and turned down, but it's right into the EMA. It is the first break. I'd wait on a second entry, and you get a second entry short here, but it's not. Look how bullish that signal bar is, and you actually get a bearish one beside it that breaks lower, and it tries to go up again, and that's what you got to be concerned about right there with a signal bar like that. If it would have broke higher, you'd probably got stopped out right there. It didn't break higher, and then you get a double test of this level right here. And even though that's a neutral bar, notice that's a new swing high, so it's a first entry long, second entry long, and it is a second entry short as well. So I didn't care as much. Normally I wouldn't like going short below a doji right there, but with we're looking for a test of this low because we've been trending down the entire overnight. So um, you got you're a little close right here, but you got plenty of room down here to the low of what looks like a range. And so that would have been a great place to get short. You don't know this is going to keep going like that, but you could have got several points out of that one. You actually get a little pull back here, but you had to go short right into that little double bottom. Uh, Technically, that's it's probably going to work out like a breakout pullback short, but I wouldn't risk it. Not if you were already in. If you were already in and had a runner, I'd just let it go. And if you didn't have a runner, I'd just sit tight. Okay, I had to turn my ringer off on my phone. It's just going nuts. So it seems like every day I try to do this video, I start getting texts and phone calls. But I think we talked about this trade. Um, Notice this is one of those failed breaks lower that gives you a chance to catch a important low. It's also a second entry long. This is almost could be blue. You could call this blue, but trying to pick bottoms can be dangerous. But notice how sideways this is, and that's the first break lower, and how far away we are from the EMA. I could almost call that blue, and I like that trade, I'll be honest with you, because you might catch that important low, and if you enter right here, you can ride this all the way up. So a great opportunity to get long on this big move up. And that's why I like these. And you'll see them at the high side too, which will be important highs. But anyway, you moving up, you get a higher low here. Not a very good signal bar, but the main thing is it's right into all that resistance. You can't go long right there. It shoots right on through, pulls back, gives you that failed second entry short after two legs up. and it bounces right off that EMA right there, and that's a fairly bullish bar. I like going long right there. It actually pulls back and gives you another pullback right here. But the fact that we didn't get to the trend line and we got a break already, and you got 3 dojis in a row, and this is really not a doji here. That's a bearish bar. That's a doji, and that's almost a doji, but that's more of a bullish bar. But you got 3 bars in a row and one big centered on one big doji. I wouldn't go long there, even though it takes off. And you definitely don't want to be getting long whip here. We've been away from the EMA for far too long. We've already had a break and a couple of moves up. In fact, I like going short right here. Same thing as up kind of down here, even though this is, there's a little congestion area, which is just a little tiny range, and we break out and you get a relatively small bar a long ways away from the EMA. It's dangerous trying to pick those, but we're probably coming back to the EMA, and so usually you get 1 or 2 tries first before you'll get a little move up like that. That's just a little jog, and it doesn't go very far, and then it turns down real quickly, and that's when you generally know or have a better idea. But you never really know for sure on these things trying to pick a top. You're usually better waiting on a lower high. You got a lower high here, but you've already pushed all the way through the EMA, pulled back. You could look at this like a failed second entry long. Notice you're moving down and you try to go higher, you move down, you try to go higher. The only thing I didn't like is it wasn't quite back to the EMA, or I'm sorry, back to the trend line, but you could really look at that and that's a decently bearish bar right there. So you could think about that one. I'll make it green. I wasn't crazy about it just because we'd already had a big move down, and you're probably going to get a bounce soon. But it pushes down, pulls back to the trend line, and gives you that failed second entry long. So you definitely, and that bar right there is relatively bullish, but it doesn't matter because it's a failed second entry long and it's a reversal pattern. And notice, here's what a reversal pattern. Notice how it pushes through the EMA, pulls back on the first entry, and this, a lot of times this move will happen above the EMA, but you want to see prices go through the EMA, and on that second entry long that fails, or second entry short that fails, generally you want it to be against the EMA. If you're going short, you want it to be below it. If you're going long, you want it to be above, like right there. And that's a nice little move down. You get one more little jog up, but you don't want to go short right in there. Then it bounces, you get a break. You get a big bear. It actually went higher and turns and goes out the other side. You get a big bearish bar. It's just the first entry. And so I'm not crazy about going short there. If this one would have broke higher, maybe, but that bar's too big as well. So I didn't like, and it's right into the low right there. So I wasn't crazy about that one. If you entered here when it broke higher and turned and went down, if you had that similar setup, I'd probably be okay with it. I'll mark it green, but I'm not crazy about it. It turns out to be a great move, but you don't know that ahead of time. So, and at that point, I would have measured this first leg. I'd call that my first move. And then look for a measured move down. And you can see we basically got a perfect measured move to that little double bottom before it bounced right there. And then we're really kind of going sideways, but it's making higher highs here, and you make a higher high, and then you come down and you make a lower high right here, and it actually ticks higher, comes down and closes. Generally, I'd be a little bit worried about this double bottom here, but because this is a big move down and you got a little bit of a trap there and a lower high and all that, I would measure this leg and look for another possible measured leg down. But this thing just keeps going, just takes off. And notice you got another shorter term trend line right there. It just gets steeper. But if you catch this one, you got a pretty good move. And this is really bearish here, and you could treat that like a failed break higher, but I'd probably want a second entry. Again, you probably could argue for that one because it's such, if you got it that good of a signal bar and it broke higher first, you might want to be a little aggressive and take that one, because if you catch that, you can, if you catch one of these in a runner, you can ride it. And then we actually push down and pull back and get a failed second entry long, and it's a breakout pullback to that breakout area right there. Notice it tests it to the tick and then turns down, gives you a big bearish bar. It's right back into this line, but we've already overshot it a few times over here. So at that point, I was thinking it was probably going to be a measured move, and it looks like, at first it looked like it was going to be, but it just keeps going. And notice what happens. It pulls back, and then it comes back again, and everything's still closing inside that, and it breaks higher again and turns down. And we weren't quite down to the low here yet. So you might consider that trade right there. I mean, it's very similar to this setup, and there was another one up here somewhere that broke. It went higher and then turned down. But anyway, you might consider that one. Just go short when it broke lower right there, and this thing drops on down and makes a new low. And there we are. We've got that new low for the day. We've got a close outside, at least 2 legs down. We got an overshoot. Even if it's a 2-tiered channel, we've got an overshoot right there. And you can see that clearly, that there's an overshoot right there. And so you might take that trade right there. It's definitely aggressive, but look how long we've been away from the EMA and how far away we are. And then you get a higher low right here. It didn't break lower. At least it didn't on my chart. It might on yours, but when it broke above this bar, I'd treat that like a higher low, because there's 2 matching lows right there. Let me back out a little bit where you can see that a little better. So you're probably going back to the EMA at a minimum, probably to the trend line, and we may reverse because there's a big overshoot and we've already had a close outside and more than 2 legs down. So that could be a great place to enter. And of course it takes off. You don't get a failed second entry long till actually you get that right here. This is just the first little correction that broke lower from way down here. And I think that's too risky, but when it tries to go lower again, I like going long there. It's probably going to trap some shorts. I was really hoping we might catch a big low here, but that got you into the 2 o'clock hour, and that was a fairly easy scalp. So it wasn't a real difficult day, because we had these 2 nice trends. There weren't a lot of trades on this one here, but this was relatively straightforward until we corrected here. And then even that, I mean, that's a fairly easy trend line to find right there. So that gets you into the 2 o'clock hour. But if you could catch any of these up here, you probably did fairly well for the day. Of course, you had to be patient because those didn't start until 10 o'clock almost. Of course, there's a couple of green ones up here in the 9 o'clock hour. But you had to be a little patient till after 10 o'clock. And there just weren't a whole lot of, if you count just the red and blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 8 trades today. And that's kind of typical for the ES when it's, normal. This is kind of normal price action. We're not trending. We're just, the thing just stepping around and then it goes flat. We didn't go flat as much today. We were flat early on and flat late. And you can see how flat that is. But in the middle of the day, we had some nice movement. But anyway, I hope you had a good trading day. I hope it's been a good week for you. We'll be back again to do it Monday, but I'm going to wrap it up for today and wrap it up for the week. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.